Hey, it's Saturday. That means we're going to spend some time with God. Welcome to Saturdays with God with your girl, Ashley Renee. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Let's get started. Hi, guys. Welcome back to Saturdays with God. I'm so glad you're joining me this Saturday. I'm really excited. This week, we're actually not going to take a whole lot of time because that's what we're talking about today. Time. And not just time, but wasting time. This is something, I laughed because last week it was like 30 minutes long, wasn't it? I hope you enjoyed it. But this is something that I talked about one of the very first blogs that I wrote. One of the first entries that I wrote. It was January 28th. So it popped up on my Facebook feed. Wasting time. Ecclesiastes 3:1-8 says, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time from refraining, embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace." There's a time for everything. For everything that we went through in 2020, there was a time for it. Something I spoke about in one of the blogs of 2020 was, we as African Americans, or people of color, I should say, we had to swallow a lot of things a lot of times. So there were times when you're at work and somebody, one of your coworkers, one of your very enlightened, or what's the word we use now? The word where you feel like somebody owes you something, or you're owed something, or you do whatever. You know what I'm talking about. I can't think of the word right now. But one of those people says something to you off the wall, rude, outright racist, and they might not even realize they're showing their true color. We didn't have time to respond during before 2020, because I have deadlines, I have work to do, I have distractions. I've got to drive all the way to work, I've got to drive all the way home, I have to make sure the kids are taken care of, I have to do this, that, and the third, pick up the kids from school. Well, with 2020 and being in quarantine, I didn't have to pick up the kids from school because they were already home. I didn't have to drive to work because I just went downstairs or went into the office or picked up my laptop. I didn't have to worry about what time I was going to get home because I was already home. And I didn't have to worry about what time I was supposed to meet my friends. So I don't have time to argue with you or say something back to you because I got other things to do. Well, we didn't have those things, so we had time. So whereas before, we didn't have the time to respond to you, to get into it, 2020, we had time. So putting that into perspective with Ecclesiastes and the fact that it says that there is a time for everything, then there was a time for 2020. For some of us, it was a time to mourn. For some of us, it was a time to refrain from embracing. For some of us, it was a time to weep. And then for others, there was a time to break down. There was time to build up. There's a lot going on in this 1 year. But the thing I want to talk about, when I wrote the blog previously, I talked about me wasting time. And I believe, with everything we've gone through, I now understand time better. First of all, I still understand that it don't belong to me. It's not mine. It's borrowed From the time you enter this world to the time you leave, you are on borrowed time. And I thought about the other day how when you pass away, there's your birthday year, the year you were born rather, a dash, and then the year you died. And everything about your life is included in those dashes. You've heard that before. It's amazing how much is in that small dash. You have the year you came into existence, and then there's the year that you left this world. Or better yet, you went to sleep for some of us. And in between, there's so much. So my understanding back in 2017, when I wrote that blog, was that I am not using my time wisely because I was constantly breaking down. I was constantly losing. I was constantly casting away. There was, a lot of things that some would say negative. They were bad, and no doubt about that, but I'm not going to see them in a negative light. There was purpose in it. So I understand time a little differently when I read this scripture, because now I understand that there was the time for that. Now we've moved on. Now there's a time to plant, so that there will be a time to pull up what was planted, to reap the harvest. Now is the time to embrace. Now for me is the time to dance. It's the time to laugh. It's not the time to cry anymore. The time is over. The time is past. So as I think about it, the only way that we waste time is that we don't understand it. That we use it in a way that we're saying, I have plenty of it. Or we misunderstand it from the purpose of, I'm crying too much. I got to stop. I got to get up. If you are mourning the loss of someone, if you try to fast forward that time or skip it, you can't get to, or you end up in the time of mourning far too long. This is when we get to wasting time. So when I had the opportunity to cry about something, to mourn something, and I chose not to do it, I don't have time to mourn. I don't have time for this. I got to get up. I got to keep moving. And I didn't take the time to stop and mourn and grieve and go through the process so that I could have the time of healing, so that I could have the time to no longer cry, but to laugh. If we don't take the time when it is purposed, that's when we're wasting time, because I still got to mourn. I still got to grieve. I still got to kill some stuff. I still got to break down. So consequently, when I was supposed to break down, I didn't. I kept moving. So then my breakdown was so much longer than it should have been. My breakdown was so much harder because I postponed it, which means I was out of time. And I don't mean that I ran out, but meaning I was out of the purposed time for me to mourn, grieve, break down, do all of that. So I end up doing it at the wrong time. Good gosh. Y'all think I be playing? I sat down to simply repeat what I wrote in 2017, and God said, no, I need you to understand time, that there's a time for everything. And when you use your time wisely, then I'm going to sit for a moment. This is why I'm going to sit in it for a moment, because I'm not going to be there forever, but I got to go through it. This is why back in the day, it talks in the Bible when people would be grief stricken, they would rip their clothes and then they would sit in a place of mourning. They would sit in it because there was a time for it. And you keep trying to skip it, but baby, you can't skip it. You can't skip it. You say, I don't want to break down. I don't have time to break down. Give yourself time. Um, I went to, years ago, a friend of mine's mother's passed. And she is Vietnamese. Well, actually, she's Vietnamese and Mexican. And her mother was Vietnamese, her father is Mexican, and her mother passed away. And I went to the funeral, and it was something I had never experienced before. They brought in what we in the African American community, and even in American civilization, we call a wake. And maybe this is what the wake is for. We just don't use it, do it properly. Maybe, I don't know, but they gave every member of the family the opportunity to simply go up and just cry, scream, fall, whatever the case may be, just do it to release, because it was the time for it. You ever been to a funeral and you see somebody's died, they like, hey, get yourself together. We don't have time for this, we gotta move. It's the funeral. Well, when you want me to cry? When do you want me to break down? I have lost a love, a mother, a father. You got to use the time that's purpose for that wisely. And I don't want you to think that I'm strictly talking about death, but anything that you go through. It's just the best example for what I'm talking about. But anything that you go through. So, for example, I have wasted time when I went for an audition. I got the audition, and it was the time for me to go and follow my dreams and be on stage and do it. And I thought, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. I want to go do this instead. And I wasted the time. That was the time for me to dance. That was the time for me to sing. That was the time for me to do my thing. And I wasted it. I didn't embrace it. I wasted it. And that's on me. And all I can do is pray that God forgives me and give me another opportunity. And it's not too late. My point is, whatever it is that you are in, whatever moment you are in, whether it's enjoying somebody you just met and y'all will fall in love, enjoy the moment. Don't worry about so much the future. Do you need to be concerned about the future? Do you need to make sure that this is somebody that you want to spend a future with? Yes. But when I'm talking about focusing on the future, like this for my ladies, because most of the time it's us. Like every day you going home with that list and you checking off whether or not he do something right, or can I live with this, or if he do this when we married. But what's your second date? Chill out. Okay? Take the moment. The time is to dance. The time is to embrace. Enjoy the moment. Be present in it. Be present in it. Because it's the time. Don't waste time. Like, I am taking every moment to embrace my daughter. To just take in every smile she has, every coo she makes. And I'm taking it in and breathing it in. Because at some point, when she's like 15, and hopefully it won't be this bad, but she's going to have her own mind, and mommy's going to have her thoughts, and we are not going to agree. That's life. But right now, it's the time to dance with her, to kiss on her, to laugh with her. And hopefully I never have to cry with her, but that would be foolish to think that would never happen. The bottom line is, I must be present, and I cannot waste the time and the purpose of this time now. So you have an older loved one that keeps asking you to spend time. And I'm guilty of this too. We all are. and you're not taking the time. Evaluate where you are in life. Reevaluate what you're doing with your time. Maybe it's something that God keeps pushing you toward, and you refuse to even take the time to look at it. Don't do that. If you don't know what time it is for you, pray and ask God. For some of us, it might be a little bit clearer. A parent just died. A loved one just died. So you know where you are. But for others, what should I be doing right now? What time is it for me? The bottom line is be present. Don't push things to the side thinking that you have time. I can do it later. Later is not promised. And with COVID, I'm going to be honest, so many people are going to sleep and not waking up. So many people. There is not a day that goes by that I don't hear that somebody passed away. And it seems overwhelmingly a lot. So this is why it's even more important to take the time to love, to take the time to be present, and don't waste the time. Somebody pops up in your mind for you to call them. Call them. It's not coincidence. That's your spirit telling you to reach out. If you want, if it make you feel better to call it coincidence, do you, boo? But I'm just telling you, if they pop up in your spirit for you to call them, call them. Don't miss the opportunity. Be present with what's going on with you. God may be speaking to you and you're missing it because you don't have time. You're right. You don't have time because it ain't yours no way. Like for me, I have to wait till baby girl goes to sleep. Otherwise, this will be Saturdays with God and Zanea. And I have to use that time wisely. It's a time to record. I hope this helps you. I hope last week helped you. I hope the week before helped you. A lot of times I was doing these, writing them, and I felt like I'm wasting my time. Nobody's listening to this. Nobody's hearing it. And the moment I stopped, the moment I got out of sync with the purpose of the time, is when people say, hey, where's your Saturdays with God? Oh, you read Saturdays with God? Oh, yeah, I read it every Saturday. Oh, okay. That being said, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to this channel. Okay, don't forget to do it. Share this. If it helps you, even if it's just like, you know what, that makes sense. If I'm saying something you like, I don't know about that. Tell me. I'm open. Let's have a dialogue. Let's have a conversation about it. I may learn something from you. God is everywhere and in everything. I'm open to hearing from Him through my spirit of discernment. So I'm going to use my time wisely. And I know what time it is. And I'm going to be present in every moment. I cannot skip anything. I won't try to bypass. If it's time for me to break down, let me have my breakdown. And then let me get up. But I have to take the time. I have to be present. I love you guys. Again, like, share, subscribe. You know how this goes. You subscribe to that food channel. Give me some love. Just kidding. No, seriously though. Like and subscribe and share. Share this. All right. Y'all have a blessed Saturday. See you next week.